All right, so I have all your images here. First, I want to ask you, do I say your name Poe or Fo? I'm not quite sure how to say it, so I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly since we'll be saying it every week for you. All right, so these are your two new images down here at the bottom, and the rest of these are images that you've turned in for other classes, right? And what we need to make sure we're defining this semester, and I know you're also in 275, so defining between the two classes is really what our goal is, what your portfolio is going to look like in the end. I thought these images were quite interesting, that you had kind of the double exposure effect showing almost like two sides of someone's personality as you're also having a fashion edge to them. So that's what we saw with these images. These are more straightforward. Here, this is creating more of an environment as you're having someone else involved in the image. These look almost more fine art. So trying to figure out what your goals are for the semester. Now, these two images match really well with this image that you turned in. So here, just having the woman up against the chain link fence is very simple in the approach. And that's similar to what we're having here with the stucco as the background, or here, this yellow wall with the dappled light coming through as the background. And I think this simplicity could work really well for your images to pull them all together, but also have variation as far as, especially in these two new images where you're having the lighting on the background, creating a pattern and creating sort of a backdrop, and then you're going to be photographing and lighting your subjects separately. Now, what concerned me with this, which, like, looking at the images, I think that he didn't use a flash, an on-camera flash, but that it says that your flash did fire, and that doesn't normally happen for strobe, but it sounds like you were using strobe, so that's fine here. Um, the Normally what we would say is that we want more separation between the subject and the background in these images, but part of what you're doing is incorporating the background and the textures and definitely the shadows that are being created there as part of the narrative here. I think building this out with different colored backgrounds that are using the natural elements as well as adding in that artificial lighting could work really well for a complete series. I also think that as we're in this time of COVID and people don't necessarily want to be in studio with anyone, this might be a really nice way to approach it and have that distance between you and the fresh air between you so you don't have those dangers happening for you. So I think this could be a great way for you to approach the semester. And if you're doing this in my class as well as in 275, of course, different images for both classes, then we could have some success there in building out this full portfolio. In this class, I'll talk to you more about visually having the images cohesive. That's going to be really important for your final portfolio. And in 275, Kenny will be talking to you more about the concept behind your series, why you're making these images, what the goal of the series is. So keeping that conversation going in both classes and overlapping them will work well. Right now, these have a very commercial feel to them. I think they have a feel of more of these like modern fashion magazines that I see, and I'm probably not looking at like I'm thinking of just what's sent to my house as far as like Free People or something that has more of a um, not like, it doesn't have a super refined studio look to it, but it has obviously very strong images in it that have a natural feel to it. And I feel like what you're creating here with the backdrop of the natural light, um, and your subject kind of popping out from them and being very relaxed, not superposed in either of these images, could work well for you. Here she seems to fall a little bit flat as far as the coloring on her face, so I would pull that out a little bit. The way the light's hitting her face I actually think is really beautiful, but you can see how it kind of doesn't have that pop that we would like to see. In this image, I think it works okay. So a little bit of difference between those two. So now that I'm thinking about it, you might be taking 275 on campus instead of online. So you might have a different instructor, not Caddy, for that. But same thing, you'll be working on concept there, and then here we'll be working on more of the visual cohesion. So the next thing about that is I'm looking at all of your images. I have them all in this collection, and we'll be going over them each week, how they're working together or not working together and whatnot. So what I want you to do is, if you're taking images in 275 as well, that you want seen in this overall portfolio, that you're submitting those each week so we can see how this portfolio is growing, and not come back in module 13 when you turn in your portfolio and have all these images that we've never seen. You need to shoot new images for this class, images that are different than what you're shooting in 275. They have to be totally different photo shoots, right? You can't just take an image that's like this and then an image where she's posed differently at the same place on the same day, and those could not both be submitted for 275 and 295. But you can turn in to me your 2 images for 295, and then let me know that you want to submit your images for 275 to be looked at in this broader context, and we can work on that week by week.